point is that the Bodhisattva is training the mind to such a degree that, as one teacher of mine said, for a great Bodhisattva, giving up their body for someone, meaning really giving it up, they're saying, okay, take my body, chop it up, take it, is just the same as a leaf falling from a tree. For them, it's no big deal, in other words. This doesn't mean that bodhisattvas go around asking people to chop them up, but the point is, if it had to come to that, a bodhisattva would be able to give their body with no suffering. It's just an event like a leaf falling from a tree. Interesting. But for us, somebody just puts a pin in our little finger and ouch, 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 terrible. And we might be complaining all day about this person. Or a mosquito bites us and we complain. And we enjoy the complaining, of course. And it becomes a very big news item, if there's one mosquito trapped in our mosquito net or whatever. And so the next day it becomes a big cause célèbre at the breakfast table. We're talking about it and it becomes a big show, news item. So the Bodhisattva is not like that. Bodhisattva has transcended all that nonsense through the power of their mind. That's why Shantideva speaks of the secret of the mind. That if we understand the secret of the mind, then we can really go far on the path. Secret of the mind is one of the main secrets is that the mind is the chief, mind is the forerunner, as the Dhammapada says, which is something we neglect because we are so caught up with our bodies and other people's bodies, of course. So caught up with that. Chapter 4, conscientiousness. So we have to protect this mind. If we have developed it, Shantideva says, and his book is Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, entering into the deeds of the Bodhisattva. We cannot have a Bodhisattva way of life if we don't know how to guard this precious mind that we've generated. If we allow it to degenerate, then we're finished. It's like having brought some wonderful jewel into your house and then having lost it or allowing it to be smashed or just covered with garbage. So then we no longer know where it is even. It's covered with garbage. We lose it. So having firmly seized the awakening mind in this way, a conscious child must never waver. Always should he exert himself to never stray from his practice. From his practice of the Bodhisattva Path. Morality, giving, So giving, ethics, patience, joyous effort, concentration, wisdom, all of these things. Having found by some coincidence this beneficial state, as we mentioned in the very first verse, that is so hard to find, this human form. If now, while able to discriminate, I once again am led into the hells, then, as though I were hypnotized by a spell, I shall reduce this mind to nothing. Even if I do not know what is causing me confusion, even I do not know what is causing me confusion. What is there dwelling inside me? He's saying, what is it in me that creates, all these problems? It is making me behave in a stupid way, again and again and again. It's as though I'm hypnotized by the delusions. He says, although enemies such as hatred and craving have neither any arms or legs, and are neither courageous nor wise, how have I been used like a slave by them? Interesting. So think, haath pair, ye sab kuch nahi hai na? The delusions don't have any. What weapons do they have? No arms, legs even. I can't say my anger and attachment are courageous or wise, but how have they used me like a slave? I've become a slave to them, life to life. For while they dwell within my mind, at their pleasure they cause me harm. Yet I patiently endure them without any anger. But this is an inappropriate and shameful time for patience. So there is a time for patience, and there is a time not to be patient. We are not to be patient with the delusions, because they are the main cause of suffering in samsara. We can't just stand by and say, "Theek hai, chalta hai. It's okay." No, we have to fight tooth and nail with the delusions. We have to isolate them. As the Karmapa said, His Holiness Karmapa said at a talk in Delhi a few years ago. He said, we have to understand very carefully how the delusions operate. We have to develop a kind of strategy and tactics to outwit the delusions. We have to notice the signs of when the delusions are about to arise. We have to notice what causes and conditions in our life and mind make these delusions arise. And I have to be very alert all the time for this, so that I can outwit them, I can defeat them. I can't allow the delusions to defeat me. If they do, then I'm lost. You know? Then I'm under their spell and a slave to them, as I have been for so many lives. This is, therefore, he said, this is not the time to patiently just stand by and allow them to do what they're doing. We have to hunt. Well, we have to, hunt for them and destroy them. If fishermen, hunters, and farmers, now he gives a very good, interesting example, comparison. If these people, fishermen, hunters, farmers, thinking merely of their own livelihood, are able to endure the sufferings of heat and cold, then why am I not patient for the sake of the world's joy? Matlab, people go to so much effort just to live, to live their lives, do their job. How come I don't have that energy? How come I'm not patient enough to work hard for the joy of the world? They're working so hard just for the happiness and joy of one or two people or a family. How come I don't have the energy to work for the happiness of the world? Huh? It would be better for me to be burned, to have my head cut off, and to be killed, rather than ever bowing down to these ever-present disturbing conceptions. This is a very strong verse, isn't it? It's better I'm killed, at least there's just one time being killed, one life finished. But if I bow down to the disturbing emotions, these delusions, then I'm lost, then I'm a slave, They are what bind me to samsara. They are making me go around in this desert, round and round and round, hypnotized by them, without a guide, without whatever, That's what's making me do this. How can I just accept them, bow down to them and say, "Theek hai, no problem, business as usual"? How can I say that? Shantideva is really making us think about this. And then he says, okay, of course I've missed out a few verses. Maybe I should read them and then it flows. Chapter 3, 44. Yeah. Common enemies, when expelled from one country, simply retire and settle down in another. Though when their strength is recovered, they then return. However, the way of this enemy, my disturbing emotions, is not similar in this respect. So then he's like talking to the delusions. Deluded, disturbing conceptions. When you have been forsaken by the eye of wisdom and dispelled from my mind, where will you go? See, like the common enemy goes back to their country, or their sons and daughters rise up again, against you in the future. But delusions, when I've actually dispelled you from my mind with wisdom, where will you go? Where will you dwell in order to be able to injure me again later? Weak-minded, I have been reduced to making no effort. Matlab is saying that if we actually do the job, we can dislodge them and then they can never come back. Unlike common enemies who can regroup and come back, or their children can come back to haunt you. The delusions, once forsaken by the eye of wisdom, cannot come back. Then he says, he analyzes, this is where the analytical thinking mind gets useful. He says, these things which disturb us so much, anger, attachment, jealousy, pride, let's check, where are they? Okay? Let's check, where are they? These big enemies who are causing me so much trouble. Who the hell are they? Where are they? So if these disturbing conceptions do not exist within the objects themselves, the sense organs, between the two, nor elsewhere, then where do they exist? How do they harm the world? They are like an illusion. Thus, thinking in this way, in other words, I should dispel the fear within my heart and strive resolutely for wisdom. For no real reason. Why should I suffer so much in hell? It's like having a bogeyman, that the mother or father scares the child with, yeah, if you don't go to sleep or shut up, the bogeyman will come and get you, you know. Total illusion. But the child is scared because they believe what the parent is saying. Similarly, he's saying we've been just totally taken for a ride by this illusory-like delusions of the mind, which are not real in the sense they cannot actually be found when they are searched for. They are simply a kind of phantom illusion which is being conjured up by an ignorant mind temporarily. They cannot be found. Where can you find? Where can you find anger? Where can you find desire? When you begin to search, where is it when you begin to search for it? You know, where is jealousy located? Which part of your body or mind is it located? Which sense organ is it located in? Shantideva is asking us to check up. Search. Do a search. Do a Google search of the mind. Where are these things, you know, which are causing me harm since beginningless time? They must be so real if they're causing me harm. But he's saying if you actually search for them, they're like an illusion. Not a complete illusion, but they're like an illusion. And in this way, thinking this way, I should remove the fear from my mind and strive resolutely for wisdom. This is already the beginning of wisdom, analytically analyzing in this way. But when you get the real wisdom, then it completely undercuts, completely destroys the root of grasping at things in the wrong way. Because right now we think there's a real me, there's a real delusion, there's a real enemy, a real friend, utterly solid and real, not realizing it's all a kind of a play of the mind, of an ignorant mind at that. So what is there to fear? It's like a dream. Once we wake up, there's no fear of the dream. It was just a dream. So life, in this sense, ignorant life is like a dream. Therefore, having thought about this well, I should try to put these precepts into practice, just as they have been explained. If the doctor's instructions are ignored, how will a patient in need of a cure be healed by the medicine? So here again he's pleading with us to actually practice. It's all very well to read these wonderful words, but he's saying, if I don't take the medicine of the teachings, then how will I be cured? So we have to take to heart the teachings on wisdom in order to eliminate the harm that comes from the so-called solid, real delusions. You know, wisdom will totally shatter their power by showing them to be like phantoms, a hallucination. Hallucination is the word my teacher uses. We're completely hallucinating. That's the power of ignorance on our mind. Makes us. It's like we've taken a drug and we're hallucinating. People who. Did any of you ever see? Well, of course, there's many movies you can see. Did you ever see Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? Okay. If you ever come across that title, I would watch it. Have you seen it? You must have seen it. आप तो फिल्मी वाले हैं. जब वो खाने लगता है ना वो चीज़ें, क्या-क्या देखता है, बाप रे, what he, you know. So under the power of hallucinogenic substances, my friends from the 60s who've taken all these drugs, they have amazing experiences, you know. I mean, very terrifying as well. But you see all sorts of things, totally due to the power of this psychotropic substance in your brain and affecting the mind. So he's saying, Shantideva is saying, due to the power of ignorance, we totally hallucinate, in some sense, the world. Analyzing the mistake carefully, analyzing the misunderstanding, searching for this real I that we think that exists and not finding it, only that can prove to us, can make us certain about the nature of ignorance and therefore the nature of wisdom. It's like we need a very fine light to actually uncover what is the ignorance. If ignorance is a thief, let's say, who steals our happiness, steals our fundamental happiness, our potential, so that thief has to be found by a very good detective with a very good, powerful torchlight, let's say, in a dark place. First, the detective has to know how to look, where to look, and with a very powerful lamp. So then we have to do that with our mind. We have to analyze this ignorance very carefully Because you see, it's been playing hide and seek with us for beginningless lives. It's not going to just stand up and say, here I am, I'm easy to catch. No, it's a slippery customer. So that needs a very, very focused analytical mind, which is why concentration is one of the very important practices of a bodhisattva. Meaning, making the mind so calm and clear so that you have no distractions, so that you're just able to put 100% mental energy on your meditation. In this case, say your wisdom meditation. Because if our mind keeps on getting distracted by the past, the future, thoughts, anger, attachment, we can't focus. It's not enough mental power is being generated. It's like turning the gas on and off, and expecting to boil water. You can't. You have to keep a continuous flame for the water to boil. You can't keep on turning it on and off or having a lot of wind. You can't keep the fan on full strength in your kitchen if you're using gas. It just fluctuates too much and then goes out. So firm mind, focus totally on the object. Only that has the power to uncover this deep ignorance we've been suffering from forever, but which is temporary in the sense it can be totally eliminated, never to come back. So analytical wisdom based on a very calm, steady mind. So we speak of shamatha vipassana. Shamatha means the calming, still, steady mind. And here we're talking those who perfected something extraordinary. You could sit for many, many hours or days on the object and the mind would never be distracted and be very clear, not sleepy. That's real shamatha, amazing focus. Then you use that mind not just to feel peaceful and happy or anything, but you use it to meditate on reality, uncovering the ignorance and destroying it, seeing it for what it is, which is like an illusion. Those who wish to guard their practice should very attentively guard their minds. For those who do not guard their minds will be unable to guard their practice. In this world, subdued and crazed, I think that should be unsubdued. In this world, unsubdued and crazed elephants are incapable of causing such harms as the miseries of the deepest hell, which can be caused by the unleashed elephant of my mind. However, if the elephant of my mind is firmly bound on all sides by a rope of mindfulness, then all fears will cease to exist and all virtues will come into my hand. So Shantideva is very clearly saying that if we're not guarding our minds with alertness, with what is called introspection, also, meaning checking what's happening. Is it my mind getting sleepy? Is it getting excited? What is happening in my mind? If I don't do that, then I can't have a proper spiritual practice. I can't guard my practice. It will be like, again, trying to boil the water by turning the gas on and off all the time. That won't work. So he is then likening the mind, our ordinary mind, to unsubdued and crazed elephants. But even those kind of elephants, you see, cannot cause such harm. You see, even a terrible elephant, what can it do? The worst it can do is kill us. But the uncontrolled mind, the unleashed elephant of my own mind, if it's not kept bound, then it will, due to the power of ignorance, anger, attachment, definitely make me engage in actions of body, speech, and mental actions, which will send me straight into hellish, very suffering existence, just as can be caused right now if we were to engage in a lot of anger or anxiety or so forth. instantly in a kind of a hellish state. So in that sense, even after death, we can have hellish experience created by this mind, unleashed elephant of the mind. But then he says, if we do firmly bind our mind on all sides by the rope of mindfulness, then it's like, really that's like something that makes our fears go away, and then all positive qualities, all virtues will become as though they're in our hand. We'll be able to practice positive actions, all the virtues, compassion, love, wisdom, patience, and so forth. All of these will then be mine through the practice of mindfulness. So here mindfulness, of course, means not just... Mindfulness has become a bit of a big deal now. It's used in many different areas of life. But here specifically it means remembrance, remembering a wholesome object of meditation. Meditation is defined as the mind which has been habituating the mind to a wholesome object. That is basically meditation. When we habituate, again and again bring the mind to have as its object a positive quality, a wholesome object such as love, compassion, wisdom, patience, awareness of death and impermanence, awareness of, say, karma, awareness of suffering in the right way, awareness of the precious human life with which we started our session this morning. Those are wholesome meditation objects. So like habituating the mind to them is meditation. One very powerful and very important definition of meditation. So here we remember, when the mind gets distracted, we bring it back. We bring it back to this wholesome object, whichever wholesome object we are reflecting on. We don't allow it to get sidetracked by pleasant or unpleasant experiences of the past, or fantasies of the future, or anger, attachment, etc., etc. We bring it back immediately to the wholesome object. That is what is meant by the rope of mindfulness. It keeps us tethered. It keeps us within a certain circumference. We can't go beyond that. You can say it keeps us within some kind of beneficial, positive circumference, circle. And if we do that, gradually then all the fears, present fears and fears of what is to come, they will cease to exist. And all positive qualities will come into my hand. Obviously they will, because mindfulness is keeping our mind on the wholesome object. That's its function. So our mind will be like saturated, pickled. We make pickle by keeping it in oil, in the sun. Achar aise hi banta hai. So here we keep our mind immersed in a wholesome object, many different kind of wholesome objects, on the compassion side, on the wisdom side, and so forth. So then it becomes imbued with virtue. Virtue here being an old-fashioned word. It's a good word, which means basically, excuse me, virtue means that which leads to lasting happiness. Virtue is that kind of action which has as its result ultimately liberation, enlightenment, but definitely something more than just fleeting pleasure, lasting happiness. So that is possible through the power of mindfulness.